Continental 12's coverage of the Christa McAuliffe Planetarium's dedication is made possible by the New Hampshire Higher Education Assistance Foundation, helping students to reach for the stars in pursuit of higher education.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Walter Killian, and I'd like to welcome you to the Christa McAuliffe Planetarium. I'm a member of the Planetarium Commission. To begin our ceremony today, I'd like you all to rise and remain standing for the invocation by Father John Sledzonia, pastor of St. Peter's Church in Concord, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by James R. McKay, mayor of our host city of Concord, and then our national anthem, as sung by the Concord High School Concert Choir under the direction of William Matavia, Music Department Chairman. We give you thanks, most gracious God, for the beauty of earth and sea, sky and stars, for the wonder of life and the blessing of family and friends. We thank you for setting us at tasks which demand our best efforts and for leading us to accomplishments which satisfy and delight us. We ask for your blessing on this splendid planetarium dedicated to Christa McAuliffe. Through touching the stars, may we continue to grow in our grateful enjoyment of your abundant creation, to the honor and glory of your name, now and forever. Amen.
If you could please join in with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. You can be seated. I think perhaps the best way to start the program this afternoon is to review a little bit of the history relating to the Christa McAuliffe Planetarium. The planetarium, which we're to dedicate today, is an outgrowth of New Hampshire's affection for Christa McAuliffe and the work of the Joint Legislative Executive Committee on a Christa McAuliffe Memorial. In the weeks that followed the Challenger disaster in January 1986, the love and pride which New Hampshire felt for Christa and the grief at her loss prompted a flood of letters to the offices of the governor and the legislative leaders proposing public memorials to our teacher astronaut. In response, Governor John Sununu, Senate President Vester Roy, and House Speaker John Tucker each appointed 3 members to a joint committee charged with considering each proposal and recommending an appropriate memorial. The members of this joint legislative executive committee were David Carney, Stephen Merrill, and Michael Callahan for the governor, Senators Roger Heath, Susan McLean, and Robert Preston, and Representatives Bruce Rounds, Mary Chambers, and Roland Salata. Meetings began in early 1986, and the Joint Committee elected Roland Salata as its chairman and set out to work. It carefully considered a broad range of proposals, from placing a statue of Krista on the top of Mount Washington, or declaring a state holiday in her honor, to naming a mountain or a new state building for her. However, the idea which appealed most to the committee was one from Louise Wiley of Pittsfield, who suggested building a planetarium as a living memorial which would combine Krista's dream of traveling through space with her dedication to teaching young people. After visits to planetaria in the state and discussions on possible sites, the committee accepted my suggestion that the planetarium be built on the grounds of the New Hampshire Technical Institute in Concord, Krista's hometown and the population center of New Hampshire. A design competition was held that fall, and the Joint Committee considered proposals from top architectural firms in the state. The winning design by the architectural firm of LaValle Bresinger of Manchester featured the distinctive reflective glass pyramid that you see here today. In January of 1987, legislation proposed by the committee was introduced to the legislature. House Bill 1000, appropriating funds to build the planetarium and creating a commission to oversee the construction and operation of the facility, was passed unanimously by both the Senate and the House. The commission took over at that point, and on October 26, 1988, groundbreaking ceremony was held. Now, a year and a half later, we are all gathered here this afternoon to dedicate this planetarium as a tribute to Krista McAuliffe. I would now like to introduce guests on the platform who will not be speaking this afternoon, and I wanted to let you know that not everyone would be speaking up here. I ask that you hold your applause until everyone has been introduced. As I read the person's name, I ask our guests to briefly stand so you can see who's who. First, in the front row, on your left, Clinton Hatchett, director of our Krista McAuliffe Planetarium. And I might add, Clint is the proud father of a baby boy, Joshua, who was just born on Monday morning. And next, and next, James R. McKay, Mayor of the City of Concord. Jim? Representative Doug Scammon, Speaker of the New Hampshire House of Representatives. Doug? I'll pass over the next few gentlemen because you'll have the opportunity to hear from them later. And I'd next like to recognize Senator William Bartlett, President of the New Hampshire Senate. The next person I'd like to introduce is Russ Galati, Vice President of the Enterprise Integration Services for Digital Equipment Corporation. And I might add that Digital Equipment Corporation has been most generous to us. They have contributed approximately $400,000 worth of computers and systems and support to us for this, and we certainly appreciate that. And going back now to the second row, I'd like to recognize my fellow commissioners, Shirley Adamovich. She's Commissioner of Cultural Affairs for the state. Charles Marston, who's Commissioner of the Department of Education here in New Hampshire. Next, Jeff Raffin, Commissioner of Post-Secondary Technical Ed. Next, Representative Paul Blackator. And next, Representative Roland Salata. And then Senator Susan McLean. And our new chairman-elect, Senator Roger Heath. And next are our governor's counselors. We have Peter Spalding, Executive Counselor from District 2, Ruth Griffin, Executive Counselor from District 3, and Earl Rinker, our Executive Counselor from District 4. And in the third row, I'd like to introduce Christopher Macris, Social Studies teacher at the Concord High School, and with him, Elizabeth Lind from the class of 1991 at Concord High School. I'd like to introduce Dave Soper, Public Works, Administrator, Bureau of Public Works, Department of Transportation. And the next person I'd like to introduce is Michael Todd. Michael Todd is the president of the Beaver Construction Company, and they're the ones that have done this outstanding job to build this building and make it look what it is. And next, Roger Dignard, our project architect from La Valley Bresinger. And then our next gentleman is Dr. Robert Brown, Director of Educational Affairs Division, the Office of External Relations at NASA. And some of you might remember that Dr. Brown was our guest speaker at the groundbreaking ceremony in October of 1988. We're real pleased to have him. And then next, Dr. David Larrabee, President of the New Hampshire Technical Institute. And if I'm right, I believe Ken Pedersen from NASA. Oh, he did not make it. I beg your pardon. Okay. And Father John, we've already heard from. Thank you. And the one gentleman that I skipped over because I didn't have his name here is Bob Doust from Department of Transportation. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, your platform guests. I'd like to take just another moment quickly, if I might. We have some special guests in the audience, and I'd just like to recognize them and ask if they would rise for a moment, too. We have a group, Corrigan family and the McAuliffe family, and we're real pleased to have you with us, and thank you. And we have several other people in the audience that came up in the NASA contingent, and we appreciate their coming. If you'd all just like to rise for a moment. Jesse and okay, Pam, thank you. And then the person whose idea it was to build a planetarium in the first place, I'd like to ask Louise Wiley if she would just rise for a moment. Thank you. We've had letters from our entire congressional delegation. Unfortunately, as all of you know, there are some extremely important measures that are being voted on today, and they've sent their regrets, but we know that they're with us in thought anyway. I would now like to introduce Dr. Walter Hawley, who served as chairman of the McAuliffe Planetarium since the commission began its work back in 1988. Under his direction, we've moved through the process of developing the planetarium that stands today as the most technically advanced planetarium in the world. Walter's an educator and director of astronomy at St. Paul's School here in Concord. He's been tireless in pursuing the best for this planetarium and in giving his time and expertise. He ends his term as chairman as we dedicate and open this exciting new facility. And I can think of no better tribute to his service than to say, thank you, Walter, it looks great. Walter Hawley.
Thank you, Walter. Thank you, honored guests. There are many people here who've taken part in this, and I think one of the great things about this whole project is that people have shared. New Hampshire is not the largest state in the U.S., but it's certainly one of the states that seems to pull together so wonderfully, especially after the tragedy. The one way to see what we have done here is to visit the planetarium. We can talk all day about it, but you must come to one of the public shows. When you're finished, we'll have a tour through the planetarium. You can pick up a brochure which gives the schedule, but come, bring your friends, bring your family, and then you'll see what we have done here. Many newspapers, particularly the Concord Monitor, have been wonderful in writing about the planetarium, and there's much to read there about the history and the people who have been involved with it. To all those people out there who have helped, we say thanks, and then come and join them, and join us, and enjoy the planetarium. As you know, Krista McAuliffe was a teacher, and a teacher's job is to help people to learn, and the only way you learn is to take part. And sort of the key word or buzzword of this planetarium is that it's an interactive planetarium. We have taken the wonderful technology of high-speed computers and brought it together with modern optics in such a way that all the people coming to the planetarium, it's possible they can take part in the actual production you're involved in. Each seat, if you like, is wired. There's over a mile of wires that's connecting all the seats to the computers. We did this because we're sort of in a video age now. Video is wonderful, it brings many things to many people. But one problem with a good movie or a good video is that when you sit down, a little bit of your brain turns off. You're saying, oh, they're going to do that, let's see how good it is, or let's listen to it, or watch whatever's happening. We'd like to maybe go back when I was a child. We didn't have video, we had radio. And part of the radio is using your own imagination. We're worried maybe some of that imagination has been lost. So what we're doing here, it's using videos, it's using high-speed computer screens, but by having the people sort of wired in, they can make choices. It's bringing back that whole brain, say, I want to take part of this. What's going on? What can I do? Now, to just give you a few minutes, an exercise and what it's like to be in an interactive planetarium, I'm going to ask all of you to relax a little bit and go through sort of an interactive exercise, just sort of listening to me. So the first thing I'd like you to do, even though it's a little wet, is just reach down with your hands, touch your shoes. If you're on the grass, touch the grass. Touch the grass, touch the floor. Just feel with your fingers. Don't even look. Say, what am I, is that a shoelace? Is that, where did that piece of dirt come from? Where's that grass going? Are you all doing, I don't see, over here. I like to see a little bending down. Thank you, right. Notice you reached and felt with your fingers. Something was happening. You know, that piece of dust, that little silicate, that little piece of sand, where did it come from? Do you know that there are atoms in there that were formed long before our solar system was even born? Think of that. Krista was curious, and we have to be curious. To thrive is to be curious, and that was one of her moves, and this is what this is about. When you go in for the tour, there's some wonderful glass block display in the connector here. And David Ballantone did this, and the students come in, the first thing they do is feel Saturn's rings, they reach out. That feeling, using what's happening. If you didn't see it yet, when you leave, look on the other side of the planetarium. Monday, 16 tons of raw granite were brought in and set in place. Just go up and feel, not now the seeds, the grass was just planted, when the grass gets going, just feel that wonderful rock. It was quarried right up here in Rattlesnake Hill, overlooking the planetarium, and it's a piece of New Hampshire brought down here, and then it says the Christa McAuliffe Planetarium. Now, let's go back to work here. I'd like you each, and even if you don't know the person, that's all right, to hold hands on the left and right. Let's go. The stand, let's go, fellas. So, come on, hold hands, all right? You're all interacting? Good. All right, hold hands. I'm going to hold somebody's hand. Here, now, you feel that other person, that touch, that warmth. What's that person like? Maybe you just touched somebody's hand you never knew before, but that's bringing other things. You're now reaching out. Krista was a teacher, and she not only was curious, but she wanted to share. And to share, you have to reach out. To build the Christa McAuliffe Planetarium, we did a lot of sharing. The wonderful people in the state, we are a bureaucracy because we are public. That's the price you pay for a democracy, thank God. And the people in the state helped me through, and our commission, through all the many details. It doesn't move quickly, but there is something important. They shared their extra time. The architect was here the other day with his father-in-law Saturday afternoon helping to fasten down these wonderful benches were given to us because I forgot to get the money to put them in. Things are like that. But they said, all right, let's share, let's get it done. Well, we got them in. Now we have a new exercise for you. I want you to take your hands and put them above your head like a pyramid, but make sure your fingertips touch. Let's go. Good, thank you. You put them down. Somebody just asked if this was a sobriety test. No, it's not. When you felt the fingers touching, this is a pyramid. This is the apex. This is the reaching. One of the great things about working with young children is to see the wonder they have. They discover things. They reach. As we all know, Krista reached. The shape of the pyramid, Roger Dignard and Barry Breslinger, the architects, came up with that idea, and it's perfect. As it reaches up, there's an apex. To feel, to reach, is to wonder. Just an hour ago, our sun reached its highest point in the north, the so-called summer
solstice. The days are the longest. It's the days you take advantage to do great things. When you finished work, you can go out and play with the kids. It's a wonderful time to help children to wonder, to keep the interest, bring something to them. How does that work? How does that happen? The sky. Let's just take our hands, and this will only be for a second. If you can, just hold them straight up. Hold your fingers apart. Now, this may look stupid, but I want everyone to wave. Let's go. All right. Feel the air in your fingers. Think of air. Think of flight. The senses of that going through there. But you're interacting with them. Krista wanted to fly. She wanted to explore. She wanted to wonder. We want to continue that dream of wanting to fly. Children and adults want to reach up, to feel their senses, to wonder, how do birds do it? How do planes do it? To fly. The interactive idea, you have to get involved to feel what's going on, what's the next problem? How does a bird keep flying? How do they land in a tree without piling into all the leaves? Our young staff at the Christa McAuliffe Planetarium, Clint, Gina, Lynn, John, and Chris, will help the children and help we adult children to fly, to reach. I'd like you all to stand now. Here we go. Everybody has to stand. Now I want you to hold hands again. This is going to be a little tricky. You have to look around this awning we just put up. Just look at the pyramid. Now the group behind me can't do that, so just imagine the pyramid. And we want you to think of this standing and looking at that pyramid as sharing with each other and sharing with our youth to build a strong future. And to do that, you have to do it with love, you have to do it with thinking. Would you all bow your heads, please? In Christa McAuliffe's memory, we have built a dynamic place of wonder for all of us to be curious, to help us to think, to try to understand. Thank you, Christa. Would you all clap for joy?
Thank you very much, Walter. Our next speaker is John Sununu, a former three-term governor of New Hampshire. He presided in the corner office at the time of Christa McAuliffe's selection by NASA from amongst 11,000 applicants as the first teacher in space. He was instrumental in the development of a living memorial to Christa, from the people and the state of New Hampshire to all of the people of New Hampshire. He left the state to accept what many consider to be the second most influential position in this nation, Chief of Staff to the President of the United States of America. It is always a pleasure and honor to welcome him back to New Hampshire, and even more so on this occasion. When we held the groundbreaking for the planetarium, Governor Sununu made a promise to join us again for the dedication. We are delighted that he could be with us today, and please join me in welcoming the Chief of Staff to the President of the United States of America, John H. Sununu.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Governor Gregg, Grace, Steve, all the distinguished guests that are up here on the dais, and all you folks who have turned out for what I think is one of the very nice days this year for me. It's nice to be home, and it is certainly very nice to have been asked to be a part of this particular event. As we gather here to dedicate the Christa McAuliffe Planetarium, and as I listened to Walter go through the history of its evolution, I was reminded of those very early days as the committees were put together, and the early discussions that took place. And it was very clear, even from the first, that everybody involved was struggling to make sure that whatever decision was made, whatever tribute was selected, that it be right, that it be something that could make a difference, and that it be appropriate to the goals that Christa McAuliffe had set for herself. I think as I had a chance to join with a number of the folks here as we went through the planetarium today and saw that demonstration of its capacity take place, it was rather clear, it was rather obvious that this facility is certainly appropriate in scope. It is appropriate in scope because it deals with the universe, it deals with unlimited horizons, it deals with the symbolism of the stars, and it deals with them in a way that opens up the future. It's certainly appropriate in focus. It is designed to service the children that Christa cared so much about. It's designed to assist the citizens, the people of this great state, who care a little bit about knowledge, care a little bit about extending their own understanding of not only their own world, but this world in a horizon that's unbounded. And it certainly is appropriate in terms of quality. It is a first-class facility. It is a world-class facility. It has been done well. It has been done tastefully. And it certainly represents the finest available. And all of those attributes are consistent with the character and the goal of Christa herself. In a sense, one of the discussions that took place when we were trying to decide what to do was to come up with a facility that dealt with Christa's passion for knowledge. To anyone that might ask whether or not this facility satisfies that passion for knowledge, I would suggest that the right answer is not yes, but actually to say, I hope not. Because the most important thing you can do for someone's passion for knowledge is not to satisfy it, but to stimulate it even more. And I think it is clear to anyone who gets a chance to see what is here that this facility is certainly in that category. So as we take a look at what the hard work and the commitment of hundreds and possibly even thousands of people have wrought in terms of their respect for one person who meant so much, not only to her friends and her family, not only to the state of New Hampshire, but to the country and the world, I think there can be a great deal of satisfaction today. If someone comes along soon, probably an accountant, and opens up the books, they will find that registered in that books is the fact that this was built with funds, with money that came from the state government itself, came from citizens, came from children. But anyone who was really involved with this knows that it really was built as a result of the fierce pride and the love of people who cared about someone and who cared about what Christa cared about. So as we go back and look at those initial criteria of whether it's right, whether it makes a difference, and whether it's appropriate, I think that anybody who is here today will agree that the Christa McAuliffe Planetarium that we are dedicated meets those criteria, meets those goals in each and every way. Thank you very much for letting me be a part of it.
Thank you very much, Governor. It's now my privilege to introduce Judd Gregg, the Governor of our state of New Hampshire. Judd is serving his first term as governor after a decade of service to the state in the U.S. House of Representatives. He presided over the design and development of the planetarium as the state's chief executive officer. The Christa McAuliffe Planetarium Commission has greatly appreciated the interest and support that he has shown us on this project. We are honored to have him with us today, and I ask you to help us welcome our Governor, Judd Gregg.
you very much. Thank you, Governor Sununu, Ms. Corrigan, Steve, and honored guests. It's a pleasure to be here today. Pleasure to participate in this extraordinary event in the opening of this exceptional facility. I won't go through the St. Paul's speeching process, but I did want to say a few words about this building and its impact, I think, on our culture and our way of life. Because it's not often that a building captures and expresses the hopes and enthusiasms not only of an individual, but of an entire generation. I presume that the Eiffel Tower accomplished this when it was built, and certainly for America, the Statue of Liberty had that effect. However, it's truly an extraordinary occurrence to think that such a building would arise in a small state like New Hampshire. But here today, we celebrate the opening and dedication of such a structure. As has been said by all the speakers, and I'm sure will be said by those who follow, this planetarium, this incredible tool of education, personifies the energy and the interests and the concerns of Christa McAuliffe. But it also is a reflection. It's a characterization of a generation that was born into the technology age, a generation and a state and a nation that sees no limit to the potential for extending our knowledge and to passing on to our children a better way of life. And of course, that was the goal and that was the objective of Christa McAuliffe. And so no structure could more appropriately reflect what Christa stood for and what our culture and state stands for than this planetarium. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Governor. The old cliche that someone needs no introduction could not be more aptly applied than to Steve McAuliffe. He's a man who's shown us all what the word dignity means, strength and class. It has been a privilege to know Steve, and it is with a great respect that I introduce him today, Steve McAuliffe.
Governor Gregg, honorable councilors, Admiral Truly, Senators McLean and Heath, Representative Salata, Dr. Hawley, and members of the commission. It is a great honor to share this platform with all of you. I must also recognize the special honor of having Governor Sununu present this afternoon. I haven't had a chance to talk with him much recently, so I don't really know what he's been up to. I understand whatever he's been doing reasonably well, but I hear he's looking for work in Moscow. I too must thank Dr. Hawley for his remarks. I had a reasonable idea of what I might say today until he started. All I can tell you is there is a lot of valuable film out there. There are a lot of people up here running for re-election. I personally have benefited because when I was holding Governor Gregg's hand, somehow I feel more conservative as I stand here. I mentioned that to him, and he said that's not a bad thing. This is indeed a special day for all of us, and particularly for New Hampshire. Christa would be, and I expect is, very proud of and very pleased with this extraordinary teaching facility named in her honor. It is indeed a technological marvel. If you haven't yet experienced it, I can personally promise you that one visit will keep you coming back again and again. It's not the kind of thing you can do just once, so be forewarned. It genuinely amazes anybody who sits in that chair. It inspires, it excites the imagination, it imparts substantive knowledge. It does all the things that our best teachers do, and it allows our best teachers to be even better. As a people, I think we all understand that we need symbols and we need heroes and we need legends to help us define who we are and where we're going and why. And Krista, I know, understood that, and I know that she welcomed the opportunity to serve as a symbol of the profession that she loved so much. She knew she was not uniquely qualified to fly in space. She knew she was not an instant astronaut. She particularly knew that her mission was to honorably and credibly represent classroom teachers and the debt and respect that we owe to them. Krista symbolized, and her mission symbolized, the vital importance of their work to our future. Krista was selected because she was an extraordinary role model as a teacher and an extraordinary role model as a person. Perhaps it is an old-fashioned notion, and I've certainly thought about it a great deal in the last several years, but I personally, and those of you who know me know this, I personally believe that our family's involvement in creating public memorials would be at least awkward and probably inappropriate. So I do not stand here today to claim one whit of credit for this marvel. That credit belongs to John Sununu, who in tough budget times put his authority and leadership behind this project. And I know most of you are thinking it's always a tough budget year in New Hampshire, but that was a particularly tough year, and I know there were many, many demands on the state capital budget, and Governor Sununu was just incredible in making sure that this got built. And the credit belongs to Senators McLean and Heath and Representative Salata, and Dr. Hawley and the members of the commission who took an idea and made it into physical reality. And as Governor Sununu said, there are hundreds and probably thousands of people. These things just don't happen because a few people want it to happen. Having said that, I must tell you that our family could not be more proud or pleased with their work. They have done more than serve a memory. They have left the world better than they found it, and that's all that it can be asked of any of us. Memorials can inspire, and others do. This one will do more than that. This one will inspire, and it will also serve. It serves the purposes of learning and the advancement of man. It serves the children and all of men who are curious. And in so doing, it best memorializes Krista's commitment to those who teach and to those who learn. Please allow me to join with our teachers and our students and all of our citizens in saying thank you to those people. This planetarium surely will touch the future. God bless. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, the Concord High School Concert Choir is going to perform Like an Eagle for us.
wings and fly into the sun. Like an eagle, I will race above the stars. I will fly to places yet unseen, go beyond my wildest dreams. Know that you are watching over me. And on alone, I follow the stars above as my guide. As my guide, I trust in you to show the way to me beyond the sea. And now is the time. And now and farewell. And as we part, you taught me well. You gave me strength. You showed the way. I'll not forget you. Like an eagle, I will soar above the clouds. I will spread my wings and fly into the sun. Like an eagle, I will race above the stars. I will fly to places yet unseen, go beyond my wildest dreams. Know that you are watching over me. Alone, I can fly with the eagle to the mountain high. Race with the eagle to the rising sun. And soar with the eagle so far beyond my dreams. Like an eagle, I will fly. Like an eagle, I will soar above the clouds. I will spread my wings and fly into the sun. Like an eagle, I will race above the stars. I will fly to places yet unseen, go beyond my wildest dreams. Know that you are watching over me. Like an eagle, I will race above the clouds. Like an eagle, I will fly. Like an eagle, I will fly. I'm gonna fly above the mountains. Fly. I'm gonna fly the highest mountain. Fly. I'm gonna fly above the clouds like an eagle. I will fly.
Again, our thanks to the Concord High School Band and also the Concert Choir and William Mativa, their music department chairman. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Vice Admiral Richard Truly is retired from the United States Navy, and he's the 8th Administrator of NASA. Admiral Truly is the first astronaut to lead the nation's civilian space agency. He was named Associate Administrator of Space Flight in February 1986, leading the painstaking rebuilding of the Space Shuttle program after Challenger. He is the winner of numerous honors, including the Presidential Citizens Medal and NASA decorations for distinguished and exceptional service, outstanding leadership, and of course, space flight. We are pleased to have him with us today to mark not only the opening of the Christa McAuliffe Planetarium, but also to symbolize our country's continued dedication to exploring space and using space travel to benefit our citizens. Ladies and gentlemen, Admiral Truly.
Thank you very much, and Governor Gregg and all of you here who have spent so much of your lives coming to this day in such a proud and fine way. Let me tell you that Cody and I have been looking forward to being with you for quite some time, and I'm delighted to be here. I'm honored to be a speaker here at today's dedication of the Christa McAuliffe Planetarium. And I also want to say on behalf of all the NASA family, I would particularly like to offer my special greetings to Steve and to all the McAuliffes and to the Corrigan families, young and old, all of you. Every person with NASA is standing here with me today. This planetarium is more than a memorial to Christa's memory. As a matter of fact, it's more than a planetarium. It's a promise to continue the work that she believed in and a promise to fulfill her dream. In every sense of the word, a planetarium, just like the sky itself, is a schoolhouse. It's a schoolhouse where adults come and remember their younger days of wonder about the stars, and a schoolhouse where kids come and accelerate their knowledge of themselves. And this must be the only schoolhouse in the country where students will complain that classes about trips in space or into the heart of an atom or about geology or even the demise of the dinosaurs don't last long enough. I believe that Christa would be touched by that. This planetarium is a building not constructed of steel and glass, but of vision and dedication and courage. The courage to go forward and to reach skyward. It's a tribute not only to Christa, but to every classroom teacher in New Hampshire and America who dares to lead us into tomorrow. A very wise man, Dr. Benjamin Mays, said, "Tragedy in life doesn't lie in not reaching your goal. The tragedy of life lies in having no goal to reach. It is not a disgrace to reach for the stars, but it is a disgrace to have no stars to reach for." What you have done in building this fine planetarium is precisely what Christa aimed to do, to use the wonder of the universe and space exploration to inspire our young people and to give them a greater sense of purpose and determination. She was a rare person. She understood that space could be a catalyst for young people to do better. Her inspiration lives on today in NASA and a national agenda which uses space to encourage and excite kids to achieve. Our president has been in the forefront of this effort. He's joined the governors of our nation, including Governor Gregg, in committing the United States in pursuit of educational excellence. Together, they have set challenging educational goals to be achieved by the turn of this century, and you can bet your bottom dollar that NASA will be there every step of the way. The president and the governors have given us leadership. Now we, as a nation as a whole, must work with the classroom teachers and the schools and the administrations of our land to make these goals a reality. President Bush has complemented these goals with resources to promote new science and technology opportunities which will in turn spur educational excellence. When he declared last July 20th that returning to the moon, this time to stay, and sending humans to explore Mars were American goals, he had the inspiration of young people in mind as much as anything else. He shares Christa's view that space and space exploration stimulate young minds. How better to excite kids about math and science and academic achievement than to explain to them that they could form the crew of the first manned mission to Mars, or to offer them an entire solar system to explore. I was with the president yesterday when he visited Alabama, and I told him that I would be up here today with Governor Sununu. I didn't tell him we'd be holding hands. And Governor, if you don't, I won't. But I did tell him that I was going to steal these lines from him today. Yesterday he said, "The state of the classroom today is the state of the union tomorrow." And I believe it. There are a lot of reasons why we should stimulate our young people to work harder in school. Some say especially in mathematics and science. One of them is that without an educated population, our nation will inevitably go downhill in economic competition with other countries. Sometimes you hear that called loss of competitiveness. Another is a subset of that without a firm educational base, we will lose our technological creativity, something in which our country has always excelled. There are plenty of additional reasons. I believe most of them are accurate and are genuine causes for concern, but I think there's a greater justification for pointing our children on a path towards the stars. This far into my speech, you probably haven't detected that I'm originally from Mississippi. But I can tell you that when I was a young Boy Scout in Mississippi, I used to lay on my back and wonder what really was out there in the night sky, filled with these glimmering pinpoints of light. And I'm sure that you did that too. Every child does. And I can tell you a little secret, I still do. I've marveled at the stars from western deserts, from the decks of aircraft carriers at sea, and from Earth orbit. Were there places to go, other people to meet, new sights to see? The difference between then, when I was a child, and today is that today mankind is not bound to the earth in its search for the answers. Now we can go to the planets, skim across their hilltops, wander their valleys, and chip away at their rocks. We can send, and we do, our robots to the very ends of the solar system and beyond, and reap the knowledge gathered by their electronic brains. And now we can place, and we do, our telescopes high above the Earth's atmosphere, which blinds us, and see the universe as it really is, a place far larger and far more violent than we ever imagined, and filled with wondrous objects we still do not understand, like quasars and black holes. Those who are weak of heart would not reach for knowledge in ways like this. Krista was many things, but she was not weak of heart. I think that what you people of Concord and you people of New Hampshire across the state have done in erecting a planetarium like this is something extremely unusual, and you should be very, very proud of it. Not only have you created a memorial, a special place where people work to emulate those fine ideals which Krista lived each day, you also are contributing to increased knowledge and understanding and to the eventual expansion of mankind literally off our planet into the solar system and perhaps beyond. And I believe that Krista McAuliffe would be touched by that too. Thank you so much for allowing Cody and me and all of NASA to be with you today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Admiral. Ladies and gentlemen, to signal the public opening of this world-class planetarium, we will ask that Vice Admiral Truly, Governor Gregg, Chief of Staff Sununu, our Commission Chairman Walter Hawley, Steve McAuliffe, and Concord High School teacher Christopher Marcus, and Concord High School student Elizabeth Lind to join us in a final ceremony. We are all aware of the challenge Krista McAuliffe put to her students and all the citizens of the United States. Her enthusiasm and dedication stood as examples to all of us. To symbolize the dedication of this great planetarium and to remember the message that is the foundation of our challenge to the thousands of students and visitors the planetarium will welcome each year, we will have our special guest, come forward and reveal that message. I would now like to invite Chief of Staff John Sununu and Concord High School student Elizabeth Lind to come forward to the front and help us. May we please now have Governor Gregg and Concord High School teacher Christopher Macris come forward. And finally, would Walter Hawley, Admiral Truly, and Steve McCullough please come forward and reveal the rest of the message. Ladies and gentlemen, before we conclude this ceremony, I'd just like to take a moment and express some specific thanks. First, to Dave Larrabee and the entire New Hampshire Technical Institute community for everything that they've done to help assist not only the building of this building, but in making today possible. Also, the planetarium staff. I can't begin to tell you the number of hours that they've put in getting the planetarium ready for today and getting the shows ready. To my fellow commissioners for all of the work that they have put in, and to Porter McGee, our public relations consultants, they've just been super. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the state of New Hampshire and the commissioners of the Christa McAuliffe Planetarium, I want to thank you for this wonderful day. The planetarium is a resource and a source of pride for all of us, and I'm so happy that you are here with us today to be able to enjoy it. This concludes our ceremony. You're welcome to take a tour of the planetarium. Just proceed to your right, and our hosts and hostesses from the ambassadors of the Greater Concord Chamber of Commerce will show you the way. You're also welcome to enjoy some light refreshments on the terrace over here, compliments of McDonald's of New Hampshire. Again, our thanks to everyone who participated in any way to make this possible. Thank you very much, and have a good afternoon.
This Channel 12 special program was made possible by the New Hampshire Higher Education Assistance Foundation, helping students reach for the stars in pursuit of higher education.